Hi guys, in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you 10 tips to heal eczema. Eczema is an umbrella term that describes several skin conditions where you have dry patches, redness, and itch. But most commonly, the term eczema refers to a skin condition called atopic dermatitis. This is a chronic inflammatory skin condition that is both genetic and due to environmental triggers that can bring out the disease and aggravate it. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you the best tips for managing this skin condition. Today's video is in partnership with Aveeno, so thank you Aveeno for sponsoring today's video. Tip number 1 is probably one of the most infuriating things to hear if you have eczema, but bear with me, and that is stop scratching. Avoid scratching and rubbing the skin with your fingernails. This is really hard to do because eczema is such an itchy skin condition and the urge to scratch is unbearable. So when people tell you don't scratch, it's like the most infuriating thing to hear. However, when you actually scratch the skin, you bring about more inflammation into the skin, and that actually leads to worsening eczema. It's called the itch scratch cycle. My tip to deal with this is that when you feel the sensation of itch coming on, rather than scratch or take something like a hairbrush to your skin, that's the worst thing you can do. Apply a moisturizer. The reason this is so helpful is that it will help soothe the skin. It will help in skin barrier restoration and kind of quieting down those itching signals and provide you some relief. Now, a moisturizer I have been recommending to my patients with eczema for years is the Aveeno Eczema Therapy Itch Relief Balm. This product is perfect for anyone with eczema because it is free of common irritating ingredients. And the last thing you want to put on your skin when you have that itch and the skin barrier is impaired and your eczema is flaring, the last thing you want to put on the skin is a bunch of irritating ingredients like fragrance or dyes. This is free of that, but importantly, it is formulated with colloidal oatmeal. Colloidal oatmeal protects the skin and helps it heal. It contains compounds like avenanthramides, which can scavenge free radicals that drive inflammation into the skin and further exacerbate eczema. Colloidal oatmeal also is rich in beta-glucan, and what's nice about that is that beta-glucan can help in adding hydration to the skin. It forms a hydrocolloid, improving moisture retention. And colloidal oatmeal has a large fraction of lipid in it, so that lipid is really what the skin of people with eczema need on their skin. Beyond the colloidal oatmeal, this also has oat oil, which is rich in many of those same compounds, but will help in smoothing down skin cell edges. And it also has ceramides in it. Ceramides help in restoring the skin barrier, and for people with eczema, they're often deficient in ceramides and have trouble with ceramide synthesis. And so applying a moisturizer that contains ceramides can help with that. So this is a really good product to just apply to the skin when you feel that sensation of itch, and it will, as the name implies, provide relief to disrupt that itch scratch cycle. Number 2 tip is to build your wardrobe around loose-fitting clothing. You don't want to wear things that are tight or made of rough fabrics. People with eczema have skin that is really sensitive to fabrics. Wool, in particular, is your worst enemy in terms of your eczema. For whatever reason, the fibers in wool just really aggravate the skin of people with eczema. But clothing that's really tight and doesn't breathe well also can exacerbate flares of eczema. So build your wardrobe around loose-fitting clothing that is breathable, lightweight, and cool on the skin and feels comfortable. As you're building this new wardrobe, my number 3 tip is to make sure you wash your clothing when you buy it before wearing it. A lot of clothing is treated with different types of formaldehyde chemicals. Many fabrics have different dyes in them, especially blue dyes that can be particularly irritating to the skin of people with eczema. And if you wash your clothing before wearing it when it's new, it will help kind of dilute out some of those compounds, and it will make your clothing less irritating. Eczema disdains extremes of temperature or humidity. Really, really dry, cold climates are set up for dry skin and flaring the eczema, pulling water out of your skin. However, really hot, humid climates can also aggravate your eczema by increasing vasodilation at the surface of the skin to cool the body. You then perspire and you sweat more. Sweat is an irritant and it dissolves some of the natural lipid barrier. So you really just want to avoid extremes of temperature. So regulate the room that you spend the majority of your time in, and of course your bedroom, to really dial in the optimal humidity and temperature. Sleeping with a cool mist humidifier in the bedroom is one way to improve the ambient humidity if you live in a dry climate. Bathing is actually a really important part of controlling the eczema, but it also can and often does aggravate the eczema, so you have to approach it strategically. The reason bathing is so important for people with eczema is that things from our environment like dust, mold, pollens, pet dander, they actually can get on your skin. And if you leave them on there and don't rinse them off, remove them, it can aggravate the eczema. Likewise, sweat left on the skin, like after a workout, it can trigger itch and start to degrade the skin barrier and lead to a bad flare-up eczema. So you actually need to clean the skin. But unfortunately, with bathing, you start to strip away some of the lipids that help keep your skin barrier intact and prevent those flares of eczema. Keep the shower really short, no more than 10 minutes, and use lukewarm water. Again, eczema detests extremes of temperature. You don't want ice cold water and you don't want scalding hot water. So keep it lukewarm. And you may not even need to use soap, but if you do use soap, make sure you use a gentle non-soap body wash or cleanser, because harsh soaps, they're just gonna eat away at that lipid barrier even further and aggravate your skin. So I do recommend bathing daily in the evening time before bed. However, there are some other situations in your life where you may want to step in the shower during the day. If you work out during the day and you get really sweaty, or if you go swim in a pool and you're exposed to chlorine or bromine in the water, you're gonna want to at least rinse your skin afterwards, because sweat and chlorine left on the skin, it's gonna trigger a flare. So just rinse it off, and you may want to employ a gentle cleanser if you've been swimming in a swimming pool to ensure that you adequately remove it. So that is a time where you might wanna step in the shower again, but generally speaking, once a day for bathing is more than enough. Tip number 7 though is anytime you bathe or rinse your skin, maybe with just water, wash your hands, wash your face. Anytime you embark on cleansing, after you rinse your skin of the cleanser or just rinse it with water, make sure you apply a moisturizer immediately to the skin while it's still damp. This is what's kind of referred to as the soak and smear technique. By using a moisturizer at that time, you really put the brakes on what's called transepidermal water loss that can further aggravate the skin and trigger a flare. Not only that, but moisturizers have humectants. Humectants hold on to water and keep it in the skin, improving moisture retention. And again, coming back to the Aveeno Eczema Therapy Itch Relief Balm, this is a fantastic product to slather on for the soak and smear technique as soon as you get out of the tub or the shower or done rinsing your skin. As you can see, the consistency is quite thick. Underlying its name is a balm as opposed to a cream or a lotion, which are a little more lightweight. So this is really going to put the seal right there on your skin. Think of it almost as like second skin. It's gonna trap that water in there, and it's gonna reduce transepidermal water loss. And it's going to guide your skin to begin to repair the lipid barrier, which is really what people with eczema need. You need a cheerleader that's going to help your skin, and that comes in the form of a moisturizer. Really what I mean is an occlusive balm or ointment. So slathering this onto the skin once you step out of the shower or the bath, or after you've rinsed your skin, maybe after a workout, is key for keeping your skin happy. In addition to the colloidal oatmeal in this product, you also have glycerin, another wonderful humectant for helping hold that hydration in the skin, which is so key for addressing the lipid barrier and moisture retention in eczema and reducing the burden of those inflammatory mediators that drive itch in people with eczema. So putting this on after you get out of the shower or bathing is key. Using the Aveeno Eczema Therapy Itch Relief Balm will provide long-lasting, sustained relief from itch. So for example, you bathe in the evening time, you apply this, it's gonna help you overnight sleep without flares of itch. All right, my next tip is to be cognizant of how stress affects your eczema. I mean, stress in our life feeds directly into our skin. Our brain releases those stress hormones that signal to our immune system, and that ends up driving inflammation into the skin. Nothing can kick off a flare faster of eczema than being under stress. If you are a parent or a caregiver of a child with eczema, be really aware of how stress can impact their skin, your stress they can pick up on. So in the evening time, for example, when you're putting them to bed, try and maintain a calm demeanor, speak in a soothing voice, and that can help guide them to a more relaxing transition to sleep and to bedtime. It really can help a lot. Stress really does affect children. Speaking of stress and sleep, that's another part of stress management, is making sure that you get good quality sleep. I mean, aim for 8 hours. That is when your skin is going to be able to heal, and if you're sleep deprived, that triggers stress responses in your body that further exacerbate itch. You then want to scratch, and then the skin further, becomes inflamed and aggravated with eczema. I mean, it is a vicious cycle. So much so that, as a matter of fact, children with eczema are often misdiagnosed as having learning disabilities or attention problems because they become sleep deprived. And so actually treating their eczema and getting their eczema better results in better sleep and overall improved performance in school. So it's really directly related to how eczema impacts sleep cycle. Because if you're itchy at night, you're gonna wanna scratch that, and you're really just not ever falling asleep properly. Number 9 is be aware of the role of allergens in your environment and their contribution to flares of eczema. Some of the most common environmental triggers are dust mites, mold, pollen, and pet dander. Dust mites, they can live on your skin cells that flake off and get in like your bedding and stuff. So to reduce the burden of dust mites, make sure that you vacuum your bedroom furniture, like the headboard. You are frequently laundering your bedding. And yet another reason to bathe before going to bed is that if you bathe before going to bed, you kind of exfoliate some of the dead skin cells off while you're in the shower or bath, as opposed to getting in the bed and rolling around and exfoliating them, where then dust mites can snack on them. So yeah, that's another way to reduce the burden of dust mites. If you have pets, make sure you groom them regularly to reduce the dander. And also with pets, I know it's hard, but don't let them sleep with you in the bed, because again, you're gonna be right there trying to sleep at night and have that dander, which can aggravate the eczema, make you want to scratch, keep you up at night. Be really, really, really critical of skincare products and keep your skincare routine to a minimum. Fewer things that come in contact with your skin, the better. For people with eczema, you need a gentle non-soap cleanser, a moisturizer, and a sunscreen. Sunscreens that are mineral sunscreens are often easier to tolerate for people with eczema. They're less likely to sting or burn. Those 3 things are it. And honestly, keeping it restricted to those 3 things can really help, because a lot of products that have ingredients in them that cumulatively can end up being quite irritating on your skin. So the more products that you're using, the more exposure to those potential irritants that can aggravate your skin. Now, speaking of products, if you wear makeup, so important that you take it off completely at the end of the day, because the longer your skin is in contact the ingredients in makeup, the more likely it is to aggravate your eczema. Especially, I see this a fair amount in my patients with eczema. Eye makeup, eyeshadows can really lead to a flare of the eczema around the eyelids. And you know, rubbing the eyes, itching. I mean, it can get quite bad. Remember, the skin around your eyelids is very thin. So making sure that you remove the makeup in total at the end of the day, if you wear makeup, is really important. So those are my 10 tips for managing your eczema. It is a very frustrating condition to cope with. It can get better and go away and burn out, but remember, it's a lifelong thing that kind of stays with you and can rear its head up at different times in your life. I've had it my entire life, and you know, for the most part, as an adult, it's more or less under remission. But if I get stressed out, if I wear certain fabrics, I can feel it coming. And because I've been living with this my whole life, and because I'm a dermatologist, I know how to manage it better than I did when I was a child. But if you are a young person out there or a parent of a child with eczema, believe me, it is a journey to managing. And the good news is, with these tips, you can really be empowered to take control of the skin condition yourself and learn to cope with flares as they come. I hope these tips were helpful to you guys, and thank you Aveeno so much for sponsoring today's video. If you guys liked it, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and as always, don't forget, sunscreen and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.